Fast forward, in come out, China so AG politics already. Podcast or the training because make headlines. Ne jumre ni be Akroma awaha. Any di Mahama Braximus ene edi kanya. And also subscribe to the channel. Hit notification bell and also share. Na for friends of inside YouTube. Any di Mahama Braximus young rap political training. Egyptian any example to Akroma. Pick one. Lawyer THADDEUS SORY. A legal practitioner or Ghana Hoxie. Na eba emraksemudia untimi enyi papa na infrim abempa enya asem to Akroma. Na wakasa o KXM show so trick said the entire the client back a file petition against THODDEUS. Now it was based on the actions of minority leader Afenyo Markins. Unia wajemre a opunchemu jintia Afenyo Markins in when he to the extent said impo we instigate a year the client a man a file petition against THODDEUS. Wajemre opunchemu yemu ransomly AG politics are very.
Apart from the disrespect to the nominee, it even went further to affect another justice, the most senior justice of the day, Justice Bawumia, who was the chairman of the committee that recommended that the Chief Justice be removed. To some extent, I would blame Justice Bawumia because, as I have said, I think I've said here or somewhere, that his own report is the problem. The minority leader was one of the reasons why I petitioned, or my client petitioned for the removal of the Chief Justice. There was a huge count which mentioned his name and mentioned the acts that formed the basis of our petition. What was this count? We said he had set a precedent, in fact, a record in the court by being the only party or being the only person who within 2 hours was able to get a full panel of the Supreme Court presided over by the erstwhile Chief Justice to give him orders that by the scope of the application before the court, no court in the world in the common law jurisdiction will give him. Now, in the course of all of those proceedings and after, people who knew the two of them spoke to me and they said, don't you understand? That is his sister. The removed Chief Justice is his sister. When
sister in terms of
Ghana, they come from the same place.
Okay.
1, 2. When her father died, the minority leader hosted her visitors, and people who were there called me. So in some of if I had attended the next proceedings, the next person against whom I was going to raise that objection was the Chief Justice. I said, all of these arguments we are having back and forth, and you are literally descending into the arena of conflict, is because somebody that you are close to is the plaintiff in this particular matter. Who was the plaintiff? It is Afenyo. 2, there is now information coming out that there are services being rendered in the judicial service which are linked to Afenyo. He's rendering those services and getting commercial profits from them, and huge ones. And so at this point in time, when Afenyo is making it look like, okay, there's a national public interest aspect of all of this nomination process, and there's some dispute and all of that, it has nothing to do with a minority position. He sold it out to his colleagues to believe that, well, we all have to take a collective position against this, but it is a personal interest. And so the facts that we have show that you have an interest in her being there. And so he's crying louder than every other person because he has an interest in the woman being there. I think they should look at this whole idea of prior approval, that the Constitution didn't say vetting. It said prior approval of Parliament. There ought to be another way of, when they look at your CV and they've done your background checks, if they are calling you for any vetting, then there are specific areas they want you to clarify. Otherwise, Parliament should do an acclamation and you go. And then if you go and you can't deliver, your appointer is there, he will sack you. But they keep all of us glued to television. And we are sitting down there and watching a process that 95% of is a joke. If the AG says he wants a docket now, and you can have an excuse, and the AG is getting jittery, you can understand that you have even told Ghanaians that way back you tried to stop the man because you had reasons to stop him. 1 year into a regime, you are still investigating. So what is the basis for seeking to stop him previously? And the Constitution is very clear. Some people even still think that his position is untenable in view of the Constitution. But there's a small provision in it that I understand. In his enabling enactment, it is stated clearly that he can prosecute on the authorization of the AG. So how can it be then that he's on equal footing with the AG?
That the AG has authorized?
Absolutely. In his enabling enactment, the OSP's enabling enactment, he can prosecute with the authorization of the AG. So it's not as if it's between he and the AG, there's a split of power. The power is in the AG. So it is not, it's clear in my mind that he can't say, oh, there seems to be, he has to acknowledge that the AG, insofar as his work is concerned, is the overall, is the repository of power.
Yeah.
OSP shall be independent. OSP shall be independent. And so you see in the first line of his section 4 also, they say, oh, he shall not be subject to the direction and control. I say, right following that, then they say that he shall prosecute on the authorization of the AG subject to Article 88. Wow. Because the AG's powers are not from the statute, from an act of parliament. They are from the Constitution. So he has overriding power. And the Constitution says that every criminal proceeding in this country shall be instituted by the Attorney General. How can an act of parliament take that away from the AG? That is not, it can't be correct. The AG is the overriding center of power insofar as criminal prosecution is concerned. And the act that establishes the OSP acknowledges it. So let's have some clarity on it, and let's have some humility in terms of power. If he acknowledges that, I'm sure he will work very well with the AG, and he doesn't have to explain to us that we're friends and we understand what we are doing. It's not what you are doing. The way you do what the law says you should do. And nobody cares what your relationship with him is. How this OSP from 2014 to 2015, when they said, there shall be an OSP who will make sure that all of this is dead. And we are seeing nothing. We are only seeing talk. And talk which doesn't add up, talk which is only annoying. So I told him at that time, he should shut up and do his work.
King was saying something to Akuffo, and he mentioned his name 3 times. I said, hey, Addo, watch this.
This is the same Akuffo. Addo, is it the same you? Is this Akuffo? Hey, Addo. Hey, Addo. Hey, Akuffo.
I gathered inspiration from my nephew, and so I want to start my show today just the way he started it. Hey, Afenyo King. Hey, Afenyo King. Me offer. Hey, Afenyo King. Afenyo, look, listen to your uncle small. Pipe down. Pipe down. Honestly, I've been giving you this advice all the time on air. Pipe down. I didn't wish it. MPP Moji Deng. Relax. Look, let me say something. Frankly, you know, the NDC has taken over, and so far, so good. I was talking to a very, very good MPP friend of mine. Wait, he was so angry. No, Mr. Chele. Mr. Chele, why are you so angry? I said, me. Mahama is annoying me, pa. And say, pa, Mahama, mommy, what for? I say, oh, why? You have been in power almost 1 year, no scandals. What a shame. It is very serious. Well, just say, 1 year, no scandals. What a shame. Are you serious? Are you joking? But folks, let me say this. whether we like it or not, it doesn't care what party you are in, we are all Ghanaians. So I'm talking to all of us as Ghanaians now, not as different party people. Whether you like it or not, Mahama has started well. No, let's not joke with this. We're in your politics, so this is not politics. This is common sense. This is the truth. That Mahama inherited a technically bankrupt economy that was staggering in debt. He inherited a country where, what do you call them, senior citizens who had worked all their lives and made savings and bonds had a haircut painfully. He inherited a country where fuel prices were that high, where the currency was completely out of control. And honestly, even those that supported Mahama said, Charlie, at least it would take him 1 or 2 years to try and stabilize things. That was the idea. At least 1 or 2 years, he will use it to stabilize things, and then let's see what happens. And surprisingly for all of us Ghanaians, within the first 3 months, we were seeing changes. Currency, the cedi was appreciating. Inflation was slowed down. The GDP was rising. All the good signs that even the most ardent supporters were hoping will happen after he's been in office for about 2 years. But within months, things were happening. And there was all this propaganda to show that nothing was happening.
Do you know why the city is stable? The city is stable not because Dr. Forson at the finance ministry is doing anything special. It's because government is not spending. It's because contractors are not being paid. It's because there's no liquid in the circulating in the economy.
It's temporal. It is not any economic gurus in this country that is causing the city to appreciate and the dollar to depreciate. It is the wealth market that they are not demanding the dollars as much as they used to. That is why there's no competition, and supply of dollar is exceeding the demand. As simple as that. These are basic economics principles. So we have to be careful with what we are saying about interest rate and all those things. It's not magic. It is the world economy that is falling apart, and the demand for the dollar has gone down.
The appreciation of the cedi that we have seen recently. I think one of the things that if you ask a simple question to the NDC to point out exactly what policy they have implemented that has resulted in the appreciation of the cedi, they cannot tell you one that has been implemented. They've not even issued any contracts and paid for anything, pretty much. So you cannot ascribe what is happening to the currency to a policy that they have implemented. There's no such policy that has been implemented that has had that impact.
People are going to the market realizing that prices were dropping in certain things, but there was all the nothing's happening. And when you hear all kinds of excuses, folks, this is what I've said since I came back with Talk Shop. I said, for once, let us focus on Ghana. And for once, we have seen visible signs that things are looking up. It could be better. Please don't think I am so happy that it's now time to be complacent and go to rest. No, this is just the beginning. But I'm saying we are seeing in the beginning that things are improving. So what is my advice? Let us all drop our partisan, tribal, religious, whatever is in us that makes us think we are not Ghanaians. No. let us drop all that rubbish. That nonsense must stop. That nonsense. I'm this tribe, I'm this religion, I'm this crap. That nonsense must stop. For once, let us all decide, say, Charlie, we have only one Ghana. And if it so happens that Mahama is in power now and he's trying to do one or two things that look like we are on the right path, let us back him, folks. When the NDC succeeds or when Mahama succeeds, Ghana has succeeded. You wait till I do that show that I say I'll be talking about that later. But folks, let me say this, folks. When I say let's back the president to build Ghana, I'm not talking about let's back the president to build Ghana. I say most of you will see it as a propaganda for the NDC. Master, so what if NDC does well, so well that all of Ghana is benefiting, and so what? Or let's say it's the MPP or the CPP who does so well that Ghana can actually see positive results and we are all benefiting, and so what? That's my question. And the reason I'm saying that we should all do our best to back so that this trajectory goes up is because when it goes up for Ghana. And we'll be proud enough to say that we are rising again. So let me go back to this issue of the CJ. Is it the CJ of NDC? Unless you're telling me that the former CJ was a CJ for MPP. No! It's the CJ of Ghana. And when I started, I was teasing my nephew Afenyo. I said, oh, Afenyo. Let me tell you what the trick is, folks. This boycott and walkout, no, they say they are two different things. We didn't boycott, we walked out. But we haven't boycotted. Whatever, you keep those semantics to yourself. But let me tell you something. This is going directly to the MPP. And it's going to the leader of the majority. Massa, this is 2025. The dynamics of the world have changed. Right now, trust me, it is not a numbers game. If you want to show weight, if you want your presence to be felt, if you want to show that also gravitas, it is not numbers game. Do you know what game it is? It is an intellectual game. So you young ones who are now growing up and coming into Ghana, I'll do a show later on. You see that Charlie, start rethinking. This is what I believe to be resetting. Start resetting your minds. It is not a numbers game. 2025, it is a game of intellect. Why do you think AI is taking over the whole world? Nyansa, AI, is it a bomb? Is AI military weapons? Is AI money? No, intelligence. I saw this very, very funny clip that I was like, oh my goodness. I feel the other day. It was created by AI. Take a look at it. See how silly? How do you have a goat and dogs and playing volleyball? AI. And this is just a little fraction of what it can do. That is the direction of the world now. Somebody sits down and creates. The champions of the world are those who now have the wisdom to sit down and create. Not the press conference and could see who. I am telling you. Deviate from that, man. Move into the real gravitas, and the real gravitas is how you use your intellect. It's not how you speak English. I say how you use your intellect. It means the way you are able to think and confront issues. Simple advice. Look, this CJ thing that in the minds of the MPP who walked out.
Chairman, that said, we would yield to you to proceed whilst we exit this committee room with our views well documented for the records, and on the floor we shall proceed with a debate further stating our position and take a vote against the nominee as required by the rules of the plenary. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
They have shown that they are macho. Yenche, we boycotted it. It's not macho. It's not macho. It's cowardice. Completely. Let me tell you what could have happened. Massa, and I'm talking to my nephew now. Afenyo. Let's say what
we ain't some who it because of channel so. I'm not so jemre award. A senator body in the Dumbi Armenia. Only I essential na yaksumo concern kusakra.